I was just say we do not know what episode number we are on.
No.
Don't ask us. So there have been a couple things that have been really coming to the surface for me this week, and it's crazy how now, almost 4 years later, BJ's almost 4, that this is coming up for me. But I really have been realizing that the whole time being a parent, it really be forcing you to parent yourself.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I realize that with my kids. Like, I want to say specifically with Sincere, with my oldest, I see and realize that so many times with him, I'm dealing with my own unresolved, like
Issues.
Yeah, like the little, the little version of you is like screaming.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely realize I'm the toddler. It's me. It's not you.
Right.
Like it's amazing, and I think that's the beauty in parenting and becoming a parent. Because I remember before becoming a parent, everyone used to tell me like, it's the best thing ever. You'll never know. And I felt the love. I felt all that stuff, but the immense amounts that it's done for me and like the little me, and just kind of the awareness and bringing that up to the surface, it's really, to me, one of the greatest gifts.
And it's not something that is talked about as often as I think it should be. There's so many layers to parenthood that are just swept under the rug, and I don't understand why that is. But I think that having kids really is like a mirror, and it reflects, like you said, your inner child and the things that maybe you haven't healed from, or the things that you still need even at our big old age, or things that maybe we've avoided healing from.
Right.
I know growing up, and this is no shade, no tea, no lemonade to my family or anything, but we are, well, our family. I always say that. Well, the family that I grew up with.
Your immediate.
My immediate family. So my grandmother was kind of a yeller, and she didn't have to always be mad at you to just be talking loud and very aggressively, but just imagine that and then her actually being irritated or mad at you.
So I feel like it's the same for me also. Like my mom's to this day always yelling. I don't want to say, like, not my grandmother on your side, but my other grandmother was always yelling. And
on your mom's side.
Yeah. And I don't know. I always like chop it up for like to the generation. But why do you think that is?
I think, well, I brought all of that up to say is that I find myself yelling.
Same.
Before, I wouldn't say as of lately, because I think I'm more intentional and more aware about how I'm parenting, but definitely in the first couple years, I would yell and not even really be super mad, but just out of my own irritation and out of my own overstimulation, and just yelling at him for no reason. And I realized, I'm like, why am I doing that? And I'm realizing that whole entire thing is a trigger for me. And I would always, growing up, I'd always be like, why is she yelling? Like, it's stressful, like you don't have to. You could just say that and just speak normally. You don't have to yell. And even in my adult life, even pre-kids, my husband would always tell me, like, you can just say that normal. You don't have to. And I'm just like, well, I'm Latin. I just speak passionately, like, And he's like, but you sound aggressive right now.
So, right. And there's that. There's like our culture, right? But then there's also, like you said, the overstimulation. And with the kids, I think about it too. I'm like, I'm telling them not to yell. I'm like, why do you have to scream? Why do you have to? And it's like, on the one hand, it is expression.
Yeah.
And it's like, do you really, kind of stifle that? Or is it that we're not properly taught how to express ourselves?
How to express ourselves,
in like a kind of more balanced way? Because there's a time to yell. It's just not like all the time, because I watch my husband and he talks to them calmly, and they're more scared. They listen more. They're more, scared of consequences with him than they are with me yelling. So I get what you're saying completely.
Yeah, I really just, it was one of the things that I'm like, why am I doing that? Let me really dig deep and understand that this is a trigger for me. And I'm screaming at him in this way because that's how I was raised. And that's how I became comfortable with that. And so that's kind of my way to, so it is really hard to, you feel like you're screaming internally and you want to scream at them, but you're putting energy into talking to them calmly. And I'm realizing that that's what my inner child would have wanted growing up. Like, I would have wanted my family to just talk to me calmly, or to just, like, even the way they would talk to each other, like take me out of the picture, even the way,
Same.
my grandma would talk to my grandpa, and she would just kind of, and I love you, Mima, no shade, but like the way she would talk to him in kind of an aggressive way. And I think that they come from a different generation for sure, but it's something that it is reflected back at you.
And it's crazy because we did get comfortable with that, and when we're frustrated and like, that's what we in turn do. That's what we learn to do, and that's what we're teaching them to do. So it does sometimes feel like, gosh, I'm kind of late. I'm kind of
Yeah.
late on like figuring this out and like trying to walk it back. But then they get comfortable with that, and I've literally been like, use your words, like use your words, and telling my child to do the same, because the yelling comes from me not having the words.
Yes.
And just like the frustration, and then there's that whole like strength thing with it, and it's like, okay, well, I can handle it. Like, I'm a good mom, like, I'm gonna, and you
Yeah.
want to be like calm and chill. And it's not even just with, I mean, it is with parenting the most that we see it, but once you are a parent, especially, you see it come out like in other relationships, like workplace relationships. You're like, I'm not gonna cuss you out today.
I was just gonna
I'm
say
gonna
that.
use my words.
Yeah, I think aside from parenting, it's definitely showed up for me in my platonic relationships, my relationships that are maybe romantic. It's come up to where I kind of just blow up, and I don't know how to. You said it perfectly. It's like it happens because we don't have the tools to be able to express ourselves in a healthy way, because we weren't exposed to that growing up. Now, another thing that came up for me too is I've started saying I'm sorry to
Ooh, yeah.
my son more, because I'm not perfect. I'm working through those explosive moments where I want to yell, scream, I'm aggravated, and now he is in a place where he's like, Mommy, you're not being nice to me. And
Ooh.
it kind of,
How's that feel?
it feels terrible.
Yeah.
It
It's
feels
kind of like
awful.
a shock, like
yeah.
a snap. Like, you're like,
Especially when they've never said it before. And, he's still learning how to build his vocabulary and all that. So when he said it to me, I was just like, oh, I was like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So I've been trying to teach myself to say sorry to him more often. I think also growing up, all of this stems from
our own childhood.
Yeah, and
sure.
It's so crazy how we go through life and we don't think any of these things matter, or we don't think any of these things are going to affect us in the long term, and they end up being like the biggest triggers and the biggest things. But
right, we're like, we're grown now.
Yeah,
but we're not grown.
No,
we just got bills and anxiety.
Exactly.
That's all.
No, we're not the real grown-ups that y'all think we are at all. But I think like when my grandma would yell, or even just like when things would happen, I never got like, oh, I'm sorry, or oh, I shouldn't have talked to you like that, or oh, I shouldn't have. It was just kind of swept under the rug, especially in a Black household. You know how they're always like, you know, a black parent is not going to say sorry. They're going to ask you if you're hungry
Right.
or if you want something to eat or if you
Yep.
want something from the store, you know.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important to say sorry to your kids. And I think that not only does something for them, but it does something for you and your inner child.
Right.
It's like a cycle of healing in a way. I can't really
I
explain it.
I actually agree with you, about that. My dad used to always say sorry to me, and he used to sit me down and say, like, I don't know what I'm doing or if I'm doing it right. You're my first. Like, I've never been a parent before.
Yeah.
And that, to this day, like, I hear it.
Ooh.
It resonates with me. And it affects me in my own, with my own relationship with my children. I tell them that. Because it's such a weak, like, not a moment of vulnerability
Yeah.
to be able to just kind of get on the level with them and have them recognize, like, look, I don't know if I'm doing it right. Talk to me.
That's
Like,
really impactful.
It is.
That he
It
did that.
is. So the whole I'm sorry, like, yeah, for me, I think it's extremely important. It matters. You don't want to have a child. I know people who are still waiting for their parents to say sorry. You know? And it's like you're doing all these things. You're acting out, or you're, kind of, being a kind of way towards them. And it's all because you're looking for the apology just to kind of validate
Yeah.
that, like, hey, you hurt my feelings or you didn't do something right. So for me, I definitely, I agree with you 100%. I think that, and I do it with my children all the time. I'm like the first to say, I'm sorry, I don't know. And it's because of my father.
Yeah. I was going to say that's probably why it's so easy for you to say I'm sorry to your kids, because your dad had that experience with you and like you carried that and you saw like, okay, that was something that was maybe challenging for him, but he still did it amongst the discomfort of that. Because that's uncomfortable to say, hey, I don't know this, you're my first, I'm not perfect at this, but I'm
Right.
really sorry for XYZ.
At such a young age, I remember recognizing vulnerability for the first time. Like, because I was surprised. I was like,
See, not me.
like, are you supposed to be telling me this?
Yeah.
Like, cue the
Like it
lights.
kind of feels wrong.
I was
Yeah.
like, this is not, like, I don't think you're supposed to be telling me this. I think that this is wrong. Like, this is, you're
Give him
doing
his
this
line.
wrong.
Give him his line. Give him his line. It's not,
Right.
I'm sorry.
Right. So I remember feeling like, whoa. And then feeling like a slight, if I'm being 100% honest, like bit of panic, like a little bit of panic, because I was like, if you don't know what you're doing, we're like in some deep shit.
Yeah.
'Cause
How
I
are you
don't
going to
know,
guide me?
right.
Yeah.
But then really softening up and being like, okay, I have so much grace for him. And I wanted to talk more to him. I wanted to do better. I wanted to meet him and follow him and listen more, because I had more faith in him. I trusted him more because he trusted me to say that.
Yeah.
And I can't believe, like,
That's beautiful.
all of that was going on in my head during that time. But kind of looking back at it now, in foresight, or in hindsight, sorry, now I'm able to recognize it, and it was a beautiful moment of vulnerability that he may not even remember it. I think he will, but I can tell you the exact place, the exact time, because it is that impactful to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So even with that happening to you and for you, did that make you naturally closer to your dad? Like who
So-
would you go to first to, and this is no
For sure.
shade to auntie or uncle, but like who would you go to first if something was happening, or if you needed to tell them something that maybe they wouldn't particularly like, or maybe they'd be upset at you for? Like, did you go to him first because he was able to extend that vulnerability and that openness to you?
Absolutely.
Or yeah.
Absolutely.
See, and that's the effect.
Yeah, so I always went to my dad for everything. He was my best friend growing up. He still is my best friend, but my mom is too now. No.
Yes, of course.
But because you understand your mom differently as a girl, once you've had kids.
Yes.
It's very It's a very eye-opening, forgiving experience.
Yes.
But with my dad, I always went to, I was like, he's the only one that understands me and I understand him. And I see that now with my kids, how the relationship dynamic is different.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference is now, parenting myself, I'm trying to be my dad, you know, in that aspect. Like, I'm trying to
Yeah.
be the one that's like, hey, it's safe. We're both in it together. I'm not, I relate. Can you relate to me? You know, type of
Yeah.
thing. So I'm trying to build that same relationship. It comes a lot more natural to my husband and their relationship because I also think that I'm reparenting myself. Like, I have a lot of issues. Like, I'm fucked up. But, like, I have
We're
a lot of things.
crazy.
Yeah, I have a lot of issues that I have to deal with. And there is an overstimulation. There is all the open tabs. There is all that stuff. I'm constantly, and then, you know, we're getting older. So I feel like it does come easier to him. And I'm grateful because of the impact and the experience I had with my dad for them to have that with him. But I'm going to make every effort I possibly can to be that person as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I also think apologizing to your kids is really healing too, because you're almost giving yourself
For
that
sure.
apology that you needed when you were 5 or when you were 10 or whatever the case may be. And you said something earlier, I didn't want to interrupt you, but you said something about never even getting an apology from your parents.
Yeah.
When you so desperately long for that, and it giving you some type of validation, some type of, and then you become, I feel like when you don't get that and parents don't know how to show vulnerability, you almost become like performative as an adult. Like you're always trying to like get their attention, or you're always trying to get some sort of like validation from them, or you're always trying to get
seen.
Yes, you're trying to be seen.
For sure.
You're trying to be seen. And I think apologizing to your kids is seeing them.
Yeah.
And it's also seeing yourself.
Yeah.
You know, that inner child. The inner child, I'm telling you, it is not something that I cared about in my early 20s. I was like, inner child, I don't care about that. I'm out here I'm out here in the streets. I'm living like, you know, I'm an adult
Not
now.
in
I'm
the
grown,
streets.
baby. But I think a lot of that comes into perspective when you are a parent, because you do need to nurture your inner child continuously. Like he or she is always there. Always there.
And it's your child.
Yes.
It's almost like, you know, like how siblings kind of bring out like, well, I need to be seen. Well, I need that. You know, that fight for attention. This is the first time you have somebody in your life that's so demanding.
Yes.
And before you were being, you know, your inner child. You know, your inner child was in there and you're all one. It's something that happens when you have children that all of a sudden, to me, it's like it gets separated in a sense.
Yeah.
Like it's more like you're looking at the inner child next to your child. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like it's almost like happening, the growth or the look back is happening as your child's growing, kind of simultaneously. So I think that that's what I noticed for me, because I didn't even really recognize I had an inner child until I had a child. And that's when it became apparent to me that I was like, oh, like, how did I feel at this age? How? And then it just really became like something I could not overlook or ignore. So I definitely do think, I know sometimes I speak to my children, and it's not just apologies. I say things like, tell them how much I love them or validate them. And it does feel like I'm speaking to myself.
Yes.
As well as them.
That's deep.
It's like I'm giving myself what I needed and also passing it down to them in a sense. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think that it's the same? Like, do you think that saying those things to yourself is the same as maybe wanting your parent to say those things to you?
I think it's not.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But also, I think that they're both very powerful and meaningful in their own ways.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
When you're able to heal yourself or parent yourself like that, it's empowering, and it means something distinctive, you know, like it's like empowering. You were able to give that to yourself, and that's like, at the end of the day, it's you, and that's all you got. Like at the end of the day, like you came in here on your own, you're leaving on your own. It's so to be able to give that to yourself and identify that, that's like, to me,
it's powerful.
everything.
Sometimes I feel like it's more powerful than anybody else giving it to you, because
Even when that's apparent.
Yes. Because if I'm giving that to myself, do I need that from a parent? Do I need that, you know?
Look at, one way to look at it, because you might not. But when you do get it from them also, I don't think that takes away from anything.
I don't think it does either.
You're right.
It might.
I could see somebody being like, I don't need this now, you know, like after all these years. But I definitely do think that regardless of what you say, you do need that as well. Like that does.
There's so many
impact
layers.
you.
I think because we didn't have the tools growing up to give that to ourselves, so we could only get that from our parents. And so I think it's two different things, like you said. And I don't think one takes away from the other. I also think it depends on your relationship with your parents and what it is that they did, or if there's trauma there, if there's like deep rooted issues, you know, because you may feel like a huge sense of relief, or there may be a bigger sense of healing from hearing that from a parent versus hearing that from yourself. But I think both are still powerful, like you said.
But I do think that hearing it from yourself is a little bit more powerful, because like, you can only control so much of what the other person does. And unfortunately, there are parents that aren't able to say that. Because to be honest, they don't have the tools, or they didn't have the tools, right? And it's like, how much can you expect from somebody who didn't have the tools? Like, we are fortunate to live in a society that the information sharing is like, you know, insane, and it is a thing now. Healing is a fad right now, but that's a great thing, right? Healing should be something that everybody is kind of into. So as fatty as it's become, and like you can feel a kind of way about that, like, oh, everybody's meditating now, everybody's doing yoga or whatever. We are lucky to be able to have that awareness and to be able to speak to each other about it. Back then, how much can you fault them if they didn't have it? Some of that you have to let go. That'll always be unresolved. But if you're able to resolve it within yourself and heal from that to a certain extent, because you can get the apology, and if you haven't addressed issues inside,
how far does that go? That's true. That's a really good point.
It's just a bonus if they do it, if you did it for yourself.
That's so true.
You know,
because if you haven't addressed, if it hasn't come to the surface, whatever trauma is associated with that apology, it's not going to really mean anything to you.
Right.
If anything, you're probably going to be like, oh, why are you apologizing? I don't need that.
Or
you know,
but it's like, here they go again.
Yeah.
Or this is empty.
It'll have a negative connotation, but your inner child actually really does need to hear that, but you don't know that.
Because you haven't addressed your own inner child.
Exactly.
Like, you don't have that relationship with your inner child. And that's what I think parenting kind of pushed us into. Like, whether we were ready or not, we had a child. I mean, you need to be ready at that point, right? You
Absolutely.
need to go through it. So I definitely do think that it's a bonus, and it's necessary, but it feels like a bonus once you've done it for yourself and you're able to now close the circle, you know, kind of be like, okay.
Close that loop.
Yeah. Whereas if you didn't do the healing within yourself, it just kind of feels like, you know, it just doesn't quite measure up.
Yeah, throwing something at the wall and it's not sticking.
Yeah.
You said something that was really interesting to me, and it reminded me of a conversation that I had with a friend recently, and we were talking about how our parents or our grandparents, it kind of feels like there is a cap with how much they grow or heal in terms of a mental health space. It's like they're kind of stuck in these like old patterns and old ways and old conditions of thinking. Meanwhile, we're living in a generation where we do have access to all of these mental health resources, where therapy is something that is deemed as a positive thing.
Right.
But it's like they're almost like stuck. Like they can't move past like what it is that they were taught and what their parents taught them. Do you ever like, I be feeling like that sometimes. And I'm not, this is not to
Maybe that's where like you can't
shade
teach
anybody.
or old
Yeah.
new tricks comes from, like that whole saying. But I think there was a lot of stigma at that time.
Because would they be thinking these things that would they be able to acknowledge and understand the things that we're talking about? I think they would to a certain extent, but to implement that into your life, it's almost like oh, well, I'm too old to do all that now, or I'm too like it feels like they hit a cap and that's it.
And that might be real. We haven't got there yet.
Yeah.
That might be a thing. It might be a thing. I don't know. But I know that when I come to my mom or my dad with, whatever I got going on at the moment or whatever I'm working on with myself, they're very open to it. At first, they were kind of like, to anything, to therapy, to any kind of healing or spiritual work. But as I've gotten better, I guess, as I progressed in my own healing and my own journey, and I've been able to communicate that better and kind of have like a peace within myself, like you don't gotta understand. I don't need you to kind of subscribe to it. I don't need you to get on board. I respect where you're at, and these are my boundaries, and this is where I'm at. I think that dynamic changes between you and them, and they kind of look at you through a different light where they're open to it. And I think there might be some fear in that also, like, am I losing them? Because it's a different level. I remember, like, back in those times, you got to remember, if people had dementia, they put them inside of a crazy house. If they had menopausal or hormonal imbalances or
things were so different,
bipolarism, they immediately put them, it was a completely different system. They immediately thought you were crazy. At times they thought that if you were acting like this, it was contagious.
Yeah.
Like it was, and they would try all type of, kind of kooky type of, like
things they should not have been
therapies
doing.
and things like that, if you want to call it that. So I definitely think that, and I know that generation looks at ours and the gentle parenting and the craziness.
Oh, gentle
like
parenting.
That whole kind of wave, or of new parenting, I do think that brought on a lot of criticism from them, because we kind of, it felt like probably criticism.
Yeah.
And kids always like to do that. Like we'll see. Kids like to grow up and be like, oh, you didn't help with this, or you didn't. You're like, I barely survived, parenting.
There's always going to be a complaint, but it's just like you don't understand because you're not there yet. But do you think gentle parenting works?
The jury's still out. Like, I don't know. I have to wait until they turn like 20 to see it. Because I have a lot of girlfriends that were like, oh, you know what I mean?
There's a lot of people who do not think that it works.
There's a lot of people who've criticized me. They're like, I think it was you or it was Jen or somebody was telling me Sincere was probably like 8, 9. They were like, that's the first time I ever heard you really yell at your children.
Oh, I think it was Jen.
Yeah.
I remember you telling me about
that.
that.
And I was like, really? And I realized that, like, everybody looks at me because I've gotten a lot of comments. Like, oh, she doesn't like to hit her kids, and it's not that. This is what happened. It hurts me more to hit them.
Yeah.
And when I realized that, I was like, this is just, make it make sense. Like,
did you get spanked as a kid?
Barely. Did you?
I got spanked like once.
I barely got spanked. I can't even remember getting spanked. And it was only by my mom. And I remember that stopped because she would come with the belt. And then like one day I really like was, messing with her, like pushing all her buttons, like running around doing shit that I wasn't supposed to. And she was like, I'm going to get the belt. I'm going to get the belt. I went into the closet, grabbed all the belts and hid them, and was like, really like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And then she ran to go get a belt. and realized I took everything, even ties. Like I took everything and hit it, and I was jumping up and down on my bed
That's
like,
funny.
you know. And she just came in and she couldn't help it. She just bust out laughing. And after
'Cause
that, I
what
never
else
got
can
whooped
you
again.
do?
I mean, but I didn't really get hit.
Yeah.
Like it
but
wasn't
but
really.
notice
She'd come
how
with the belt, but not really hit me ever.
they'd use it a lot to threaten you, but like
Yeah.
notice how nobody really does that anymore. Like I feel like the belt is not really.
I don't know. I've seen some stuff.
I don't know. I've seen some stuff too, but like I feel like the belt was more of a thing when we were kids, or I don't know.
And then before that, it was switches. Like from a tree and
Yes,
stuff.
yes,
Yeah.
and now it's the gentle parenting. Now it's
It's a wave. It's our wave. It's our trend.
it's always changing.
But I think that it's better in a sense because in that generation, they didn't speak a lot. Like there wasn't a lot of communication. Like you said, it was a lot of yelling. And it's like all we're doing is getting yelled at.
Yeah.
There wasn't communication like my dad is a few and far between that was like, help me, help you, let's help each other type of thing. So in the gentle parenting, the one thing that does happen is there is communication. What I do think is that some kids need to get beat. Like, no, I'm joking.
No, some
No,
kids
but
do need their ass whooped. Like some
sometimes-
kids do need belt to ass, but
I'm still on like, I don't know about that, but I do know that they need to understand consequences is the
Yes.
real thing. Like gentle parenting is, I'm sure it does work if you have consequences. Does gentle parenting mean that when I set a consequence, I kind of renege, like I go back on it? Or does it mean when I set a consequence, the consequence is what it is, and now you have to face it? I'm not going to beat you. I'm not going to yell at you. It's kind of like a understanding that we have.
that's crazy that back then it really comes back to that they did not know how to express themselves back then. So
It was emotional. I'm gonna
It's
whoop your ass.
emotion, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so much easier to resort to anger than to regulate yourself and actually sit down with your child and talk to them. 9 times out of 10, when BJ's throwing a tantrum, all he needs is a hug. Or for me to
Yeah.
be like,
Yep.
you know, kind of hug him, stroke his back. What's wrong? Are you okay? Why are you crying? You
Yeah.
know, talk to me. And it's gone. You know?
Did you always figure that out? Like, how long did it take you? I mean, did you always know that? How long did it take you to figure it out?
No. It took me a little bit to figure that out. I'm not gonna lie. I don't hit him, but I would give him a little, you know, a little smack on the butt or whatever
Same with me and my kids. I'm just like, it's
Yeah.
just a tap that
Yeah.
they're like,
But even then, I stopped doing that because I don't want him to think that it's okay to put his hands on somebody else. Like, I don't want him to think that it's okay to express and funnel his anger in means of hitting somebody or putting his hands on somebody. And so I really, really try to not do that. Unless he is cutting up, I won't do belt. But it will be hand to like I will make his thing a little bit, like, you know, because you need to understand that whatever you're doing, you need to stop it right now, and you need to take a chill pill. But most of the time, when I'm regulated and I'm trying to regulate him, it really seizes everything so much faster. Versus like he's yelling, I'm yelling. You know, he's crying. I'm like, why are you crying? Stop crying. And then that's making him even more stressed out. And it's just like this cycle.
that's funny you say that because, like, with me, with my kids, I would get so upset. Like immediately I'd be like, oh, like, and I could
Yes.
see how you would go to spank your kids or go to yell right away. Like, I can definitely see why that's the reaction. And I'm learning now still, but like I'm learning
Same.
to kind of take a step back and just focus on them, because when I stop caring about everything else except for them, it changes the entire, like, my perspective on the whole thing, which is, I think, the most important change on how their experience goes. Because when I would get mad the most is like when we were out in public and I'm like, I'm concerned with everybody around me. I'm concerned with them.
That's
I'm concerned
triggering.
with,
That
yeah.
irritates me.
But when you, and I learned it from really my husband, like when you just, like when I was like, who gives a fuck about everybody around us? Like, my child needs me. That's when I think I've been my best to them.
Yeah.
It's when I'm not concerned, because it's all this other, I'm like, oh, we're out in public. All these people are trying to eat dinner, and this child's like screaming. And I'm like, but really, you're completely like, tossing their needs to the side to deal with everything around and how you feel in that moment. So when I have and even like when we're rushing to go somewhere and they're dragging, and I'm like, get your ass in the car, like that's what I want to say.
Yeah.
But I try to just be like, okay, which stuffed animals do I need to pack for you? What is bothering you? What are you afraid of? Like, what do you think we're going to leave behind?
Yeah. And
just kind of, if we're late to whatever it is. Like, it's frustrating.
Yes.
And I always have the talk, hey, like, this really bothers, me, because you guys are going to have somewhere to go or whatever. Mommy likes to be on time. Why can't we started 3 hours ago? Like, but
these kids never cared.
They don't care. They literally walk slower when they know I got a deadline. But I try to just not care so much about those things, because that is triggering for me. That's when I kind of lose like control and get over.
It's always an extension of our overstimulation.
Yeah, I was gonna say I get overwhelmed like so fast, and then when I get overwhelmed, it's like, and you see them like, dang. Like, my son will literally be using his words. Like, he'll be, Mommy, why don't we, we reset. It's like, you reset.
No, you
reset 20 minutes ago.
Don't tell me what to do.
Right.
It's so crazy. You tell them to use their words,
and
they're telling us, they're telling us to take a break or to reset,
it's
or
like you're being attacked. Like, he's like,
are we healing or being attacked?
Right. It's
I
nuts.
don't know.
So gentle parenting, I don't know. What do you think?
I think gentle parenting works for the most part. I think it is circumstantial. I think that sometimes they do need belt to ass, and I will stand by that. They're like, these kids, they will test your nerve just to test your nerve, just to see how far they can take it. And I need you to know that, yes, I love you. I'm gentle with you. I will sit down and talk to you and talk through anything that you're feeling.
Yeah.
But I also beat your ass. Like, don't test it. Don't try me. Just know that mommy can go there. Mommy doesn't want to go there, but mommy will go there if she needs to go there. I still can't
go there, but I get what you're saying. I think it has to be balanced.
It has to be balanced.
I feel like they do have to have that consequence, whatever that is.
Yeah.
If it's belt to ass or if it's...
But gentle parenting does feel better for me overall.
Same.
Like, when I'm gentle parenting him, I feel like I'm parenting myself in a way that, again, I didn't experience growing up. So it helps me regulate faster, because it is so easy to get angry, but it's not fun. Like, my inside, like, I am like
all that yelling doesn't feel good.
It is awful on the inside of me. I feel chaotic. I just feel like it's not a fun place to be. So I as much as you want to stop crying and you want to regulate, so do I. Like, we both need to take a deep breath at this point. Mm-hmm. And so I think in that sense, it works for me. But I think breaking the cycle of all of that and just parenting yourself in a way that is healthy, but also parenting your child in a way that is healthy. I think there is such a quiet power in doing things differently than what your parents did. And I always give myself a little pat on the back. Like, if I'm in the car by myself, or, I'll be like, wow, I did such a good job, like, calming him down. Or, I did such a good job regulating in that moment when I really wanted to just, like, throw things and get angry. And, now we're in a place where it's like timeout. Like, I've implemented the timeout thing. I'm like, do you want to go to timeout in your room? And he's like, no, mommy. And I'm just like, okay, well, put your listening ears on, okay?
Right.
Turn them on, because
I used to use the listening ears too.
It works.
It does.
But it's probably not going to work for much longer.
No,
but
no, the thinking cap also works.
Oh, the thinking cap?
I'm like, it's time to do homework. Put your thinking cap. Since I used to be like, thinking cap on. And I'm like,
oh, that's so cute.
I'm like, okay.
It's like it's working. But yeah, I think that just really being intentional about making those small changes. And
I think that you're right. I think
Yeah.
that the small changes, like, it is a very silent piece. Like, it's
It's
silent,
a quiet
like,
power.
yeah. And it's no shade to our parents at all. I don't even,
They did the best that they could with what they had.
I kind of don't even look at it like, I don't compare, to be honest. I'm more like, this is what I would have liked. And when I see that it works with them, it is just, I don't know, it's so beautiful to see
Yeah.
the relationship growing between you and your kids, or getting better, or being maybe better than what you experienced in your childhood, you know, and being what you would have needed.
Yeah.
I think that that's a big thing. And every time you get that little bit of peace over, you know, kind of doing it like them, where perfection, your inner child is like, your inner child's happy. Like, you're healing yourself. Your inner child and your
Yeah.
relationship is growing as well. So
I will say two things. So I feel like at this point in my life, my inner child is like one of the most important things to me. Like, aside from even parenting, I will do things that I used to do as a child, and call me childish or call me immature,
Yeah.
but I still like to play on my little Nintendo Switch, or I still like to watch, you know, movies with him. And it's fun now when you have a kid, because it's like you can revisit all of those things and you
Right.
have a reason to. But we'll sit down, we'll watch Disney movies, and
Same.
I love it.
Me too.
I'm not above it. I'm like, this, it's healing for me.
Right.
And that's another thing. It's like, my family didn't really sit down and do things with me, you know, and I'm an only child. So it was always me in my room and kind of playing with my dolls and making pretend, and just like, you know, kind of building that community for myself, if that makes sense, even though it was like my dolls and my stuffed animals. And
So what
you
you're
know,
saying is,
that's
you
probably
still
why I
play
talk
with
to myself.
dolls.
No, that's probably why I be talking to myself, Joe. Because no, but for real, I definitely just creating those moments that
Yeah.
I wasn't able to have with my family growing up. And I think also when I'm in the thick of regulating, I always try to think to myself, I don't want to be the thing that my child has to heal from when he's an adult. I
feel
don't
like
want
we're
to.
always gonna be that.
Yeah,
They're
I
always
don't-
gonna need to heal from something, no matter how hard we
You
try.
think so?
Yeah, we'll always.
But we can try. I mean, like, we can try.
We should, but we should really try for us. And kind of like, remember the bonus? Like, it's more of a bonus with them. It's not like a bonus, but it should be us and them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had so much anxiety when I had my first, because I was like realizing all these things. Like, it just came at me. I was like, oh my God, like my inner child, you know, I recognized what that was. And I thought, I mean, you ask anybody, they think we had like a perfect childhood, and we did. But in every child, no matter what you do, you're going to end up fucking them kids up somehow. Like, they're going to have some reason to say something to you. I think it's that you just do the best you can to make sure it's nothing crazy, or it's like something that can be discussed later on. Because perfection is hard. Like, I
Yeah.
think you come in, it's like having straight hair and one in curly hair. The kids are always, if you have a really open, you know, environment where they can talk and they can feel things, they'll probably be like, I wanted you to yell at me more, to tell me no, instead of, you get what I'm saying? Like, that's what I mean by it.
That's true.
Like, if you
That
have
is
like
true.
really like loving parents, it's like, I want parents that like,
I wish there
I
was
wish you
more
checked my grades.
structure,
I
or
wish-
I wish
yeah, I
you
wish you
would, yeah,
cared.
like you pushed me a little bit, and
you
yeah,
never know what's gonna come out on the other side when
That's
they get
true.
older. They're gonna,
You-
they
you-
always have something to talk about.
you have no control really
What
at
it
the end
really
of the day.
is kind of just identifying and accepting, like really recognizing that we're humans too. We're going through. We don't know what the fuck we're doing.
We
like,
don't.
We're trying.
We don't.
You know, so it's kind of like that. Like, we're just a person trying to do the best we can, and that's what you hope that they understand at the end of the day. Because I really
Yeah.
do think that they'll always come for us. There'll always be
That's
something.
actually, that's true. Not me trying to be optimistic, but you're so right. There's always going to be
There's
something
always, and then you'll
that they
feel
can.
even more shittier. Could you imagine? Like, I did everything.
Yeah.
There you gotta go.
Then it's
Healing
really
again.
belt to ass at 25.
At 25.
Right. You think what?
You gonna get these hands.
You gonna get these hands right now. But I used to think that breaking generational curses meant like doing these big things and making these big adjustments and changes. But, you know, I really think that it's just sometimes, it's just not yelling when you want to sometimes.
Yeah,
Where
it's
it's
all
just
the
like these
small
small moments
Yeah.
where you make those changes and then it starts to feel like it's a part of your identity, like it's a part of who
Yeah.
you are now, and you don't have to try so hard.
It's funny you say that because for me, the gentle parenting, like the real progress I've made with it, is in just being present. That was kind of my thing with my mom and my grandmother, like on her side. They were always so like
Yes,
so busy trying to.
they didn't do stuff with us. That's what I was saying.
Because they were all they'd work, you know, and then on
Yep.
top of it, they'd have to tend to us.
Cook
They do
dinner,
everything for us. They wouldn't. My mom wouldn't like require me to do my laundry. You know, she did everything for me. I never learned how to cook. You know, when I was growing up, she took care of everything, and that's how she showed her love was
Yeah.
through acts of kindness or acts of service. And I didn't even know that was a thing until I got older. That wasn't a thing when we were growing up. Like, what's your love language? But I see it now. That was how she got taught to take care of her kids, and that's how she took care of me. And then when I got older, I was like, I really just wanted you to listen to what I was saying and like be present with me. Which is what my dad had shown me. You know, and that's where I learned that from. Like, it's really in these, like, just being here with these moments. It took me becoming a parent, and now this is what my biggest work is in not following suit. Not because I knew my mom loved me. I know my mom loves me.
Of course.
It wasn't felt as, you know, in the way that I needed to. And I think that's what I said. You're always going to probably mess them up somehow because you have two different kids or one, whatever. But every child has, just like how we have different love languages, they have different love languages.
Yeah.
And we don't even address that. We're like,
Yeah.
we're doing everything for you. Both my children are different. They need different things, you know, but they both need me to be present. They both need to feel that. One more
Regardless.
than the other sometimes, but so I do think it's in the small things. For me, it's just in kind of like how I told you, I kind of forget about everything else and just, that's me being present. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not caring about who's in the room. I'm making sure that they know that they're here with me and that they have all my attention, you know, and I'm present. So that's small. I mean, it's huge for me, but it's
But to
small.
anybody else, it would probably seem like a small thing,
Yeah.
you know? But that's huge. And I think the way that it's crazy because the kids get to a point where they start understanding and they start, like, even I've heard you tell me a lot of the times, like, Sincere will be, Mommy, are you overstimulated? Or, Mommy, it's okay, you
Right,
know? Or,
right.
like, and that is so healing
Yeah.
because you don't even... You're so focused on trying to make sure that that's the energy that you give them and not realizing that they're absorbing that
Yeah.
and they're giving it right back to you.
Yeah.
And because you're a child, I think maybe you think it won't hold as much weight because it's like, oh, you're a child, you don't really know gender. But it's like they do know. They
Yeah,
do
they
know
are.
what
They're clocking everything.
yes.
Yes.
They're very smart. They do know, like they can feel it. And so I think that parenting your children and talking to your children with grace and in a way that's gentle, it also forces you to talk to yourself in that same way. I think just to wrap, I think just like a couple truths that I have realized and I think we've talked about on the episode today is that, you know, parenting your kids is also parenting the version of yourself that maybe needed that when you were younger. And so it's just like when you parent them, really look at it from that perspective. And I really feel like if you are a parent that struggles with anger or outbursts or irritation, overstimulation, you're not perfect, so it's going to happen. But I think if you look at it from that lens, you'll be able to parent in a way that just feels better for your inner child and for your child in general.
I agree. I feel like every time I love my kids the way that I wish I was loved, we're both healing at the same time.
Yes.
You know,
It's a win-win.
It is. It is.
I also think that giving your kids what you needed, it's not going to erase your pain. I think there are, you do have to deal with your own stuff, but it does rewrite your legacy, and it does kind of rewire your brain and even the way your heart is postured too. Like it does something in that area as well. But I think like choose softness, even if you were taught survival, and I think that that's going to help you
That's
go a
a
long
shirt.
way. Choose
softness.
yeah,
That's a
child. Oof, cause baby, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's like you're healing 2 generations at once.
It is. It is.
It's
very
crazy.
much so.
It's crazy. Well, good luck, everybody.
Good luck.
Parenting's hard. Bye.
Bye.